All right, peace and blessings, and welcome to another episode of YB's Collaboration Corner, which is a segment of Self-Published in 30 Days podcast. I'm your host, Rob YB Youngblood, president of sales for Self-Published in 30 Days, the #1 self-publishing company in the world, and also your LinkedIn locksmith. I've got the pleasure of being here with the sharpest dressed brother in all of Richmond, Virginia.
I appreciate
Rob Ransome of Ransome Realty Group. Rob and I go way back, man, and I'm so glad. I was telling them before we jumped on the live, man, I've been impressed with him for so many years. He did something amazing that literally took him, in my eyes, to another level. We'll get into that in a minute. But before we do that, Rob, please do me a favor and introduce yourself. Tell everybody who's listening, who's watching, who you are and what you do.
Sure. I am Robert Ransome. Most people call me Rob. Ransome of Ransome Realty Group, brokerage that I started a couple of years ago now. Principal broker there. Have 6 of us, full-time agents there now. Been in real estate coming right up on 16 years. So been in this for quite some time, seen the good times, the extremely bad times, and now this, I don't even know what to call this last 2-3 years where it's been, really the last 2 where it's just been white hot. But anyway, so I've seen all those things. I've learned a lot of things, had a lot of experiences, and just blessed to be in the position I'm in to where people even want to listen to me or have me on their podcast, as you have so graciously, asked me to do. And don't think that I take that lightly. I really appreciate that. As you said, we go way, way, way back. So, so I really appreciate you even asking me to do this.
Yeah, I dropped a message on LinkedIn because I was promoting another interview with a brother by the name of Brian J. Olds. And Brian is the founder and president of the Black Speakers Network. And so in my caption, I put, I love that I get a chance to interview movers and shakers that you haven't heard of yet, right? So there's people in Richmond that know of you, but the goal is for people to hear about you all across the country, all across the world. So so just don't forget about it, brother, when you blow up, internationally, you feel me? Like when I hit you up on the phone, don't look and say, new phone, who this? You know
no, sir. I'm gonna be like, okay, this is the real business calling right here. This is the real business.
I love it. Yeah, Rob and I, we've known each other for quite some time. We even had our daughters were going to the same elementary school at one point in time. And so we would see each other as I was dropping my girls off. He had already dropped his girls off, or whenever we picked each other up. We also had a chance to do some business together, Rob. Remember we conducted some LinkedIn consulting. I did some consulting work for you. And now you're adding to your team. Talk a little bit about what got you into real estate. Like how did you even get started? What was the prompt? What got you into the lane that you're in today?
So 16 years ago, I was actually at a company that we did semiconductor work. We made computer chips, which is ironic now because there's a computer chip shortage. And that's what we did. We actually made those computer chips that go in phones and cars and on motherboards and all those sorts of things. One thing, if you've ever been in that industry, one thing that you know about that industry is that it is extremely volatile. And so, one little thing could mess up millions of dollars worth of product, right? And at that time, it relies so heavily on the stock market. Things were getting a little crazy, and they would always put these projections up of where our company needed to be at a certain date in time before we would either be paced out of the technology that we were currently making, or we need to be ahead of that curve, basically. And I kept looking at those thinking, that doesn't look like we're going to survive. And so I started. The other thing about that was too, just being in an organization where, and I just spoke about this morning with my agents, when you don't feel like you're really valued, right? Like you're putting in all this hard work, and no matter what you do, everybody comes up with the same raise, the same bonus, everything across the board. And I didn't want a life like that. And so I wanted to be able, because I am a hard worker, I wanted to be able to get out of my business what I put into it, whatever my work would be. My mom suggested that I get into real estate. My parents have always been into real estate. Growing up, I was fortunate to have 2 houses on a one-person income. And that was something my parents taught me. And so my mom suggested, hey, you're a personable guy, you know a lot of people, blah, 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 you should get into real estate. So started looking into it. And at first I'm like, this isn't my thing. And then I started kind of thinking about, okay, well, real estate isn't just one thing. It gives me the opportunity to help people every day, gives me the opportunity to think every day, gives me the opportunity to problem solve every day.
Right.
And it just attracted me because of those things. And I fell in love with it and never looked back. So the first 2 years, none of my clients knew. So any of my clients that may be listening to this, the first 2 years that you were my client when I first started off, I had a full-time job at nighttime, working 12 and a half hours at night, and doing real estate all day. Almost killed me, but after that company closed down, and everybody was, they were forcing people out. I was one of the first people forced out. My supervisor made it a point to get me out first, which he blessed me when he did that.
Yeah.
I never looked back, and here I am today, still doing real estate.
So let's talk about that, because I had a moment where, I was let go from a position and it was a turning point. Let's talk about turning points, man. Obviously that you mentioned a term that he blessed you. Well, how was that a blessing for you? Because some people might look at, being let go from a position as being traumatic. Like, how was that a blessing for you?
So let me tell you where I was at that point in time. So at that point in time, because I was literally working around the clock, I was engaged in, had a brand new baby girl. You mentioned our girls going to school together. As my baby was a baby, literally then. She wasn't even walking yet or anything. So I 07, I went to George Frazier's Power Networking Conference.
Yeah.
And got to hear Miles Monroe speak. One of the most transformational periods in my life, period. And what he did, if you had the pleasure of hearing him speaking, or you listen to a lot of his stuff, I listen to all the stuff on Spotify now, but if you ever listen to him speak, some of the time when he would come out, what he would have people do is, shake hands and stuff, because he's a pastor at heart. So, you go to someone's church and they say, shake hands with your neighbor and blah, blah, blah. And that's what he had us do. And he said, make sure you tell that person that you never know who you're sitting next to. So it's nice to meet you now. And everyone did that. And it was just like, wow. And part of what his speech was at that particular point in time was, hey, you may be working a job, but you tell them that they only have you for right now. They're just borrowing you for now because you're an entrepreneur. Yeah. You have more that you want to do. And so literally, this is back, I'm dating myself. They had CDs, they dubbed CDs. Yeah. I bought the CD.
Yeah.
And I had driven it was in Atlanta. I had driven to Atlanta, so 7.5 hours, 8 hours. And I put the CD in, hopped in my truck, in my shirt and tie, drove literally from Atlanta to my job. My job was 24/7 and 365. So it was the middle of the night. I got there, took an old duffel bag out of my truck, walked in and cleaned out my locker. And all of my friends, everybody there, everyone on my old job was like, what are you doing here? You're off. What are you doing here? Why are you coming in with a bag? I said, I'm just coming out to clean out my locker. And they, well, you quitting? You quit? I didn't say I was quitting.
Right.
I am cleaning out my locker. The Lord will tell me when it's time for me to go.
Yeah.
Right. So then I started getting into where, because I'm working so hard, not eating right, not working out, all these things, not sleeping, I was wearing a heart monitor. Literally. I was early 30s wearing a heart monitor because my heart started acting up. And so the day after I was let go, I had a doctor's appointment for a checkup. And he said, wow, what's going on? Like, you're good now. We've had all of these weird readings, which he already said was stress related. And he said, but now you're good. And that was the day after I was let go.
Wow.
And so the blessing was not only did I, because I no telling what could have happened. There's a lot of young people who are losing their lives because of stress,
Right.
right?
Right.
So not only did he bless me in that respect, that he let me know when it was time for me to spread my wings, but he also continued to provide that way for me. And so I listened to tons and tons and tons of motivational speeches and a lot of the things that you post. And I'm looking at what you're posting because you're about mindset and I'm about mindset.
Yeah.
If you're an entrepreneur, if you don't have mindset, you're not going to make it.
That's right.
And so that's why for me, I couldn't look at it as a bad. I looked at it as now I really have all of my time and resources to focus on what it is that I think I'm here to do, which is help people in a higher capacity.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And you talk about Miles Monroe. That's one of my guys, man.
Yeah.
And rest in peace to Dr. Monroe.
Absolutely.
But and Dr. Fraser, bro, that's my guy.
Absolutely.
Man. Like you got
yes,
me,
sir.
man. You got the wheel spinning on some stuff that I'm working on. I had to
Yes,
talk
sir.
to you offline about it. But
Yes,
but let's talk about the work that you do now. So you mentioned, having a desire to help people.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into the real estate side now, right? You said that it was, it was a good time, then it was a challenging time. Now it's white hot. Like
Mm-hmm.
how does collaboration create currency for you? Like, so let's talk about that. Like, how does collaboration create currency for you in your line of work?
Yeah. So first off, I think people, whenever I have a buyer, for instance, the first thing that I do is I bring them into my office and I sit them down and I explain to them what it is to buy a house, what it's going to take, what do you need to have, what do you need to look out for, what our team looks like, because it's not just me. Their loan officer is going to be involved, a home inspector is going to be involved, an appraiser that we don't get to talk to anymore is going to be involved, but there's a team. We have a team of people, okay? If we aren't all speaking the same language, we're not all running the same play, then we're not going to be successful. And that's just what it is. We're going to come up short. So that on the real estate side, we need to collaborate. We need to talk. We need to, figure out what it is that, I need to figure out what it is that you need and want. You also need to figure out what the buyer or the person, the client needs to figure out what they need their agent to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, on the other side of the table is a person who there's another agent who they're doing the same thing for their client. Okay. We need to collaborate to make sure that we get the deal done. Their client wants one thing, my client wants one thing. How can we make this a concerted effort so that everybody walks away happy?
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. That's why, there's a lot of talk about real estate changing. iBuyer, Zillow just dropped this bomb that they're not going to do iBuying anymore, because there's been ever since the internet really got involved in real estate, 2009, 2010, there's been an effort to sort of edge agents and brokers out of real estate, right? Yeah. And I don't see how that can happen, because real estate is a personable sales, entity. It's not all about, okay, I see it online, I click it because I want it, like Amazon, and it shows up at your door.
Right.
There are too many moving parts.
Too many moving parts. Yeah.
Yeah, too many moving parts. And I always tell my agents, look, as long as you give your best service and you give good and knowledgeable advice, it's going to be hard to be beat out by a computer.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where collaboration works on for my benefit and for my agents.
So yeah, that's amazing that you talk about, the human factor. And so when it comes to collaboration, Rob, who are some of the types of people that you look to collaborate with? Like, who are the people that you keep an eye out for that can add value to you?
Yes. So now it changes over the years. It's changed over the years. Of course, when I was just first starting out in real estate, it was okay, who's the person? It starts off with my first time home buyers, folks that are looking to get into their home, and it's an investment. I've always taught investment whenever someone's buying property. And then, it became to, okay, well, who are those folks that I can help move up in the market and those sorts of things. Now at the stage that I'm at now, it's those agents who may feel like they're right on the edge of being great. And they need somebody to help with their daily motivation and to help with, where they are trying to move to in their business. And those are the folks that I look for, that I like to talk to. For me and my personal business, it's wealth managers and folks financial advisors, people of that nature who handle large accounts for people or handle estates for people, those sorts of things. Lots of my investors come out of that realm, especially, a lot of folks in the last few years have taken a lot of money out of their 401k and put it into some sort of self-directed IRA or some sort of, investment vehicle where real estate is what they're using to increase their dividends on the back end, increase their life savings, their retirement income. That's what they're doing. They're using real estate, and they've changed over the way that that they're doing it. The stock market is doing good right now as well, but real estate, if you have a good person on your side, you can always make money.
I love it. I love it. So I talked about this a little earlier. I got into it just a little bit. We're going to dig into it now, man. So let's talk a little bit about your marketing strategies, man. Like I was driving down there's a major highway in Richmond, not a highway, but major street in Richmond that goes through what they call Shockoe Bottom in Richmond. So for those of you who are listening and watching, if you've never been to Richmond before, you come to Richmond, you want to check out Shockoe Bottom. Good food, good little market down there. But I was driving down the street and I look to the left and I see this billboard of this sharply dressed black guy. And I'm like, oh snap, that's Rob Ransome, man. So like and here's what's crazy. It's kind of like you look at billboards and you don't really expect to know the person that's on the billboard. I was like, man, I know this dude, right? So talk a little bit about that, man. Like what prompted you to leverage that as a form of your marketing strategy, and what is guiding your decisions in terms of how you're marketing yourself now?
Right. So the interesting thing about that was the interesting thing about that particular point in time was that wasn't the first time that I had done a billboard. Okay. My first year in real estate, I did a billboard. It was on Mechanicsville, another major thoroughfare through the city, through the county and the city. And I remember just, now of course at that time I was trying to get myself out there and trying to do something different that not all realtors, no one was doing it then. I mean, I put up a billboard and they were like, oh my God, you're on a billboard. It's easy to be on a billboard. You just pay the money, right?
Right.
But most people don't think that. And so when I decided to do that campaign, two things I wish I had done differently. Okay. One is I wish I had waited until I had, Ransome Realty Group started, because that type of marketing is branding, right? It's not marketing. There's two different things. Right. So that was branding for just visibility and people to know. And it worked. I mean, people were everywhere I went. People were like, oh, I know you from somewhere. Yeah. You for the guy on the billboard, blah, blah. And so it worked in that capacity. So that one thing is, though, I wish I had waited a little bit longer. The second thing is I wish I had put a message out there that said, I'm segmenting a particular person because I was looking for move up buyers. I was looking for, a particular part of the
like your demographic, my
demographic, the population that I wanted to target with that. But it immediately dried up my first time home buyers.
Wow.
And I had made kind of like my business, on first-time home buyers. So I started to sort of panic, right?
Yeah,
And I was like, oh man, people were saying, oh, well, you don't help first-time home buyers anymore because I saw you on a billboard. And people literally said that to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, that's not true, right? But it's hard to, it was hard to display that. And so I wish I had done that differently. But the premise was, I'm gonna put my face all over this city.
All over the city, yeah.
And it literally was all over the city. And try to figure out, where and who would see it, what were the best spots that people would see it in. And now it's funny because now I see lots of realtors on different billboards.
Oh yeah, no question.
And so it's, and it's all good. And some of my agents asked me if I was going to do it again. And instead of doing that, I'm doing more direct stuff. I have an ad coming out in Northside Vibes, which is our local newspaper around our office. We're located in Northside.
Yeah.
And so I just did a really nice ad for that. And bringing attention to all of us, because it's not about me. It really is not about me. It's about this team of folks who feel that they've made the right decision to come on and have me as the head, but it's really a collaborative effort again amongst all of us to get your deals done.
Yeah, so, I love it.
We all work together, and we always try to help each other out and help each other figure things out and different ways to, because there's a lot of different nuances in real estate. And, one deal is no two deals are the same. So, and that comes through. So, so that's why I did that. It did what I needed it to do at that particular point in time, but I would do it differently if I were going to do it now.
And that's good that you say that. As we land the plane, what wisdom or advice would you give to two types of people? One, the person that may be interested in getting into real estate as a realtor, and for current people that are in the industry. Like obviously you have several years of experience. So what words of wisdom would you give to an aspiring real estate agent and someone who's already in the game that's going through their go-through?
So the aspiring, I would tell them that this is not TV. That's a huge difference. When I first started in real estate in this career, I don't even remember HGTV being really popular back then, right? From the things that I saw. We definitely didn't have YouTube. We didn't have, all these different avenues that people can use now. The problem with some of that stuff is it's TV. Like when you see it on TV, it's TV. And people don't understand that there's an entertainment factor that's there, that has to be there, because the TV sponsors make their living and their money off of advertisement and how many eyes they can attract to the screen. Okay. So a lot of agents, unfortunately, have also not understood and realized that it's TV. And so that collaborative effort that we spoke about earlier tends to be a little bit more confrontational than collaborative.
Yeah.
And that's a part that it's kind of like, man, it doesn't have to be like this, but I understand that they've seen a lot of things that this is how it is. You're supposed to be this type of person to be successful. Yeah. And I think it's unfortunate. I think it's unfortunate. So I would say to the aspiring, pack your patience, understand that this isn't easy, and understand that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of realtors. What's going to set you apart?
Right.
And that kind of bleeds into the agent that's in there now. Again, an agent that's been in the business, established, what is your message and what's going to set you apart from, the other people in your office? If you're we're a small office, but if you're in an office with 100 agents, what's the message that you're going to put out there that sets you apart from the rest of those 100 agents?
Right.
Everybody's going to say they're, motivated, and they are a multi-million-dollar producer, and they are all these things. It's sort of standard talk in our industry, right? What does that mean when it comes to you? How do you stand apart from that? You know, what is it that makes you the best agent, one of the best agents out there?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So we're about to land the plane.
Yes,
There's
sir.
two final questions I have for you. The first one is, where can people find you, Rob? So if someone wants to
Yes.
collaborate with you, obviously you shared who you want to collaborate with, but if somebody wanted to collaborate with you, maybe they're a wealth advisor, they're an investor, they're a home buyer, you know, they want to sell their home, like what's the best way for folks to connect with you, Rob?
Absolutely. On LinkedIn, my name is Robert Ransome, and my last name is Ransome. I have an E on the end. So like I ran some today, which I didn't, but that's what it is. Robert Ransome on LinkedIn, on IG. So it's crazy. My platform's a little different. So on IG, it's Rob Ransome. On Facebook, it's Ransome Realty Group. We have a page on Facebook, and then my personal page is Rob Ransome. So those are the three places that I'm probably in the most. And on my website is www.ransomerealtygroup.com. And in any of those platforms, you can find me.
I love it. I love it. So you know, obviously this is a podcast that was founded by Self-Published in 30 Days. Shout out to Darren Palmer, who's our Chief Book Officer. So this question is connected to that. So say, for example, you were inspired to write a book, right?
Yes.
You were inspired to write a book, and you could go anywhere in the world, and I was cutting the check for it.
Yes.
Where would you go? Where would you go to write your book? You know, anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Maldives.
Oh, okay. Why Maldives?
I'm a water, beach, sand person, and water recharges me. And so, and actually, just you know, I'm a huge outdoorsman, so it could be the water, it could be the woods. So, you know, it could be either one of those two. I prefer, you know, depending on the time of year, I prefer to be at the water.
Yeah.
I would go to Maldives, sit in a little bungalow on the water, and write the book and knock it out. Free of distractions, and just waking up, going out to fish a little bit.
Yeah.
Eating what I catch.
And listen, so on the next podcast, I might have to do it live, man, because for those of you who are watching and listening, y'all don't see Rob, but Rob is extremely fit, right? So Rob is into CrossFit. He rides motorcycles. You feel what I'm saying? Now I might get a couple people hitting me up like, hey, could you pass me his number? Like, just, you know what I'm saying? So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that on another episode. But Rob, listen, I'm so golly proud of you, man. I'm gracious that you were willing to invest this time with me, man. You could be anywhere throughout Central Virginia doing your thing. And not only that, man, you still got the West Coast connection, man.
Absolutely.
So, you know what I'm saying? So you could be,
So that's my so you know I've been back and forth out there for many years now. And so now I'm right at the end of about to test for my license there. My friends there have already jumped in, and they're building a network. I have my own network out there, and so I'm really looking forward to that. That is like next thing on my list. So.
Yeah, I love it. Well, we're proud of you here. Looking forward to your success. Looking forward to having you come back. And for those of you who are watching, definitely connect with Rob. He's a great guy, very professional, has a great team. Shout out to your team. But listen, I want you all to realize this, that in anything that you need to do in life is going to require some level of collaboration. So identify who that is. If you need some help, hit us up. But we want you to be encouraged, be blessed, but most of all, continue to share the faith. And the way that you do that is by walking in your gift, because your gift will make room for you. And remember, this is the year for your new book. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Peace.